The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back. Another hot episode of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Pooh Bear. I got myself in the building tonight. My man Ant not feeling well, but we're gonna hold it down, get everything right for him, get y'all informed and everything. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's get ready to enjoy the show. We got a special guest in the building with it coming in tonight. We're gonna be talking with Mr. James H. Williams of BLEAV in UCLA. We're gonna find out about the Bruins, that game set to take place. We do have time for that game now. Well, no, we don't. We got to estimate the time, 2:30 to 7 o'clock. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be a 7 o'clock game, no prime time, but we'll see. But man, we got a good one in store for y'all tonight. Y'all gonna have to talk nice to me now. Y'all gonna have to talk nice to me now. Father of a top 100 impact player, listen, talk nice to me. Y'all gonna have to show me a little bit more respect around here. But nah, man, definitely always proud, you know what I'm saying? Go Cougs. But we're gonna hold it down and talk about this LSU football tonight. First, man, big news in baseball. Big news in baseball. LSU gets another commit from the transfer portal. This one coming by way of a opponent, somebody we already played a pitcher from Wofford, Cohen's. Now we didn't actually face him, but you know we did get to see him pitch. Outstanding pitcher. The kids got some electric stuff on the mound. And now we'll get to see it in Tiger. In Alex Box. I was going to say Tiger Stadium. We'll get to see it in Alex Box. Definitely looking forward to that. It was originally announced that Camden Wicker also committed to LSU, but that was an error. Still waiting. I wouldn't mind getting both of those kids though. Definitely wouldn't mind getting Wicker in here. But so far Jay Johnson has been killing it in the portal, addressing some needs. Next thing we need, man, we definitely got to get some. We got to find out what's going on with Bradswell. If Bradswell is going to leave, but of course that's probably going to be a draft day thing. We find out what position he's drafted, and most likely determine if he's coming back. Also, still waiting to hear about Brady Neal. Still waiting to hear about him. Looking forward to him. Hopefully he can come back, give you some, depth. I know a lot of fans have a little angst about Neal. I personally thought he was a pretty good catcher. He did well on the base pass as far as throwing players out. Injuries have been a major concern, though. He's been injured both years. And a lot of people have take up grievance with his stance, his catching stance. He has that knee down, not the squat down, and a lot of people feel like he lets a lot of pass balls or wild pitches get to the backstop. But if he can come back, that definitely bolsters your roster, gives you experience back, and saying decent bat. And he can always work on that defensive his defensive stance. Also, we know we got some other players coming in, freshmen, to play catcher as well. So, but it's good to know what we got going with that. So we'll see. We shall see. Uh, moving on though, man. I do want to say condolences, man, to Jerry West, and the West family, the LA Laker great, lovingly known as the logo, because his silhouette is used as the logo of the NBA. Well, NBA doesn't say it, but we all know it's Jerry West. Mr. Clutch, was another one of his nicknames, just because he, big play, situations. But man, Mr. Jerome Allen West, born in 1938, we lost him today. So sending all loves and prayers to Jerry West. Jerry West was a very vocal player when it came to talking about integration of teams and talking about I'm not gonna say necessarily civil rights, but speaking up for his African American teammates. Jerry West was very pivotal. But over his career, played 932 games, 27 points, 5.8 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 47.4% field goal rate. Of course, they didn't have 3-point line back then, so who knows what these numbers would have been. But his free throw percentage was also 81.4%. So, yeah, man, Jerry West, West Virginia great, Lakers great, gone at the age of 86. Another big topic on the books, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is pondering retirement. I don't know if y'all saw that. Yeah, Jimmy Graham is hasn't necessarily made a decision. ESPN reports that he's still kind of, mulling over. Say he hadn't closed the door on football yet. But ironically, he's out here. He's still staying fit. He's training to try to break a world record, with a 4-person, I guess, row team. They're trying to um break the record of swimming across the Arctic Ocean. Currently, the record is, and this is 1,000 kilometers. The current record is 15 days, 5 hours, and 32 minutes. And yeah, they're looking to try to break that record. That's insane. Says he's also looking to do like some bike racing and stuff like that. Long distance bike racing next year. So yeah. I mean, he hadn't closed the door on it, but that's interesting. Jimmy Graham, arguably, the best tight end in Saints history. Jimmy Graham, man, 197 games. He had 719 receptions, 8,545 yards, 89 touchdowns. So over his career, he's 1,382.8 fantasy points. So that's a new stat that they keep up with, I guess. But Jimmy Graham, man, like I said, in New Orleans Saints legend. So next up, man, let's talk about the NBA Finals. Is going on as we speak. Let me see what the current score is. Right now, what's good, Tyler? Right now, the Boston Celtics are up in the series 2-0. Going that's close to the start of the second quarter. Mavs up 31-30, but back in Dallas with a game this close, the Celtics have been pulling it off. I'm not saying the series is over, but I wouldn't hold my breath if I was you. Yeah. The this series, Ant actually called this series. He called it after, what's their name? Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. After they got bounced, he said that this playoffs run was Boston's to lose. I personally don't think so. Well, I didn't until the start of this series, and Boston has done everything to prove Ant right and show up, and Dallas has been around, not necessarily showing up. So very interesting. So I'm just checking to see. Guest should be joining us in about 10 minutes. Um, yeah, man. I don't know what to say, man, about Boston and Dallas. Kyrie has not played well in Boston. I don't know if it's the in Boston part that's causing this, but Kyrie has not played well. He's not been himself, the Kyrie we've seen over this playoff series. Also, Luca being kind of banged up. There's a clip out there with Luca playing defense, and it is terrible. It has been awful. Luca has been, I mean, Matador defense. Olay. I mean, everybody, they're attacking him and going right around him. Um, so yeah, they definitely gotta step that up. Um, like I said, it's a 1-point game in the second quarter. That doesn't bode well for Denver. I'm sorry, not Denver, for Dallas. Speaking of, man, this series with the Mavs and the Celtics reminds me of the Timberwolves Dallas series, where the Timberwolves would keep it close, they would lead, and then they come to the end, they would blow it. That's what we've seen out of Dallas. Actually, Dallas got blew out game one. Outside of that, they've had, like game two, they've had it close and then lost it. Right now, they've got it close. Whether they hold on to it or not, I am not sure, but yeah, I'm definitely of the mindset that Boston is going to take it. If they take tonight and go up 3-0, it's only a matter of time. So, what up, Key? Key says, yeah, Porzingis is out. Christoph Porzingis is out. Said Mavs got to take advantage, but yeah, yeah. He said the NBA ain't letting the sweep happen. Little for ratings. Dallas need to not let a sweep happen for ratings or for anything else. It looks like they could just go lay this thing, let it go, because it's just been, I don't know. Dallas don't. I don't know what they can do. Al Horford is taking a drink, in front of Fountain of Youth. And as we speak, Boston just went up 35-33. I'm actually checking on. I was watching soccer earlier, United States versus Brazil, and we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Boston is just, I don't know. But yeah, I was looking United States versus Brazil, and United States tied it up Brazil came out and scored early. United States tied it up, and it's just been it was just hold on at that point. They were fighting for their dear life. Um, I don't know if the United States soccer team men's soccer team, if they'll ever catch up to the world and be um relevant when it comes to soccer again. What up, man? Hope you're feeling better, brother. He says Drew Holiday for MVP. Yeah. Speaking of that, this series, the Boston series, I am trying to figure out what is going on with Jason Tatum. That man been on a milk carton all series. Somebody find him. Let him know that they playing basketball in Dallas right now. I don't know if he caught up, but yeah, y'all help that man out because he has done nothing. Um, but I know it's a little early. Mr. James, you good? You ready to? Ready to roll? I don't know if he can hear me backstage. Good. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my guest. Get my guest in here. But first, let me give a shout out to our sponsor over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag will be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Ladies and gentlemen, would like to welcome to the Golden Boot from BLEAV in UCLA, co-host, and also reporter for the OC Register, Mr. James Williams. Thank you for joining us. How you doing this evening?
What's good, my man? Can you hear me okay?
I can. Hold on. I'm sorry. We use a 2-man operation. So hold on. There we go.
Got a haircut. I'm in California. It's the off season, right? So we're trying to give it up for the off season. No, so it's the off season. So we gotta get in everything we can. So I'm checking in from a Target right now.
Okay.
We had a Target right now, but we here. No, but thanks for having me on. I'm sweating a little bit. It's a good 91 degrees out here in Cali, but we can't complain, I guess. So
dry heat too. That's that dry heat. Y'all can have it out there.
But I'm good. I'm vibing. How about you?
Man, I'm good. Man, normally I have my co-host with me. He fell ill, so
I know how it goes.
Yeah, definitely want to, on behalf of him, thank you for joining us and being with us tonight. Gotta talk about UCLA. And I told him what my first question was gonna be. I gotta ask, how did y'all feel about the Sissy Blue shirts?
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously, I have my phone, I'm tweeting and stuff, so I see it like right away. I think maybe before the game starts or during the first quarter, I see it. I mean, the guys on the field, the coaching staff, they didn't really know anything about it until Monday.
Oh, okay.
Well, Chip says he didn't find out till Monday, but I'm sure someone told him on Sunday after the game. But yeah, the players really didn't know anything about it. They tried to kind of turn it into an NIL deal a little bit, but it was what it was. They were kind of just looking at Orgeron at the time and like, he's always going to hate UCLA because he was coaching at USC. So there's always going to be that tension. And to me, that it probably wasn't anything different than what he was saying at USC because when Ken Norton Jr. was the inside linebackers coach last year during USC week, he was saying stuff that I'm sure he was saying when he was back playing. So, they have their sayings. I'm sure that wasn't something he just came up with on the fly, but they tried to run with it as an NIL deal, but it didn't turn out to be much. It kind of died off pretty quick. The thing with Chip Kelly, who obviously isn't there anymore as the head coach, but he was just all about business and really didn't let them get distracted by anything like that. But the fans got a kick out of it.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. I was like, man, coach, you can't say stuff like that. But I thought it was funny.
But it's funny. And I mean, but if you're coach, you gotta win that game.
Yes.
You can't be calling no one sissy anything and then lose the game.
No, it's different if you lose. You can't call anybody sissy anything and get beat the way you got beat. So
you know what? Look, I'm not gonna lie. So I had been covering the team up to 3 years to that point. 3 or 4 years, I lost count. But that was the biggest game just in terms of quality of opponent, obviously outside of your Oregon, your USC, right? Biggest quality, especially in non-conference play. That's about as good of a quality as an opponent as UCLA's had since I've been covering the team. So I went into that like this is going to be a big game. This is going to be one of the bigger games I've covered up to that point. The Rose Bowl's packed. The Rose Bowl's always getting knocked during non-conference play with the fans not wanting to show up. I think there was the bad weather. There might have been the hurricane situation in Louisiana then, so you did have fans coming out that way, but it was a packed house, so it was hype. I think it was on ESPN. It was a nationally televised game. I thought there was no shot that UCLA was going to win. And this is like a year or two removed from the championship.
Yeah, this was 2021, 2 years. Yeah,
you had Derek Stingley Jr. You had all those guys, and
Eli Ricks coming back home.
Eli Ricks coming back home. I remember watching him play at high school at Mater Dei. And yeah, it just so obviously, because UCLA won, a lot of other people would say, well, that wasn't the LSU. Not that I'm saying LSU fans are saying this, but that's not that wasn't a good LSU team, or look how they finished the season. And I'm like, damn, you don't let UCLA have nothing. But I still count it as a quality win. I mean, obviously it was what it was for LSU, and they had the coaching change and whatnot shortly thereafter, I believe. But it was what it was. It was one of the better wins for UCLA. Only, of course, the following week, I think they had a bye week, so they're really sitting on that win. They got smacked around by Fresno State the next week. So
yeah,
that's UCLA for you.
Yeah, I really thought it's funny because talk of that before that game, Chip Kelly hot seat. He's gonna. This is it. He loses this game, he's out of there. Y'all played Hawaii the week before, and DTR can't pass. All you're gonna see is if you shut down and run the game, you're gonna win the game. And lo and behold, DTR has the game of his life. Charbonnet runs wild. Your tight end, I don't know what happened, but he's still scoring touchdowns.
Greg Dulcich, big Greg Dulcich, he's with the Broncos now.
Yeah, so man, that game, I'll say it haunts LSU fans, and this game here, LSU fans have been looking forward to this game here for that get back for a while.
I think they're gonna get their get back. Maybe I'm a little early, so don't be telling the UCLA fans that. But
no,
it's obviously Chip Kelly's not there. They got Deshaun Foster as the coach. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But I think LSU should win this game, especially if they're playing at home, right? So UCLA, they're kind of rebuilding. I think the thing when the last time UCLA and LSU met at the Rose Bowl there, that was kind of just everything that was kind of a slow start for Chip, and DTR was like kind of in and out as a freshman starting. So by the time LSU ran into UCLA, they were kind of ready in prime form. You're getting a well-developed, a seasoned DTR up to that point. Charbonnet was playing with a chip on his shoulder, transferring in from Michigan. So, yeah, those guys you kind of caught them at a good time. It's been a lot of up and down, and that was an up for UCLA when they met LSU. So I wouldn't, it kind of was what it was, but I think LSU's going to get back.
Yeah. Let's talk about changes. You mentioned Chip Kelly's gone. Your defensive coordinator, got plucked across the I say across the street. Yeah.
That's what the players say. They say across the street. They don't even mention school. They just say across the street.
Yeah, he's plucked across the street. Dante Moore, I don't even know if he's there anymore.
He's not. No.
Yeah. So
and it was kind of maybe better for everybody involved, to be honest, because so the thing with just their quarterback situation, right? So Chip Kelly's gone. That kind of hurts in itself because not only is your head coach, but he's your offensive coordinator. You do bring in Eric Bieniemy, who should kind of ideally get the offense right. You do have a guy in Deshaun Foster, who was a player there, spent the last 5 years as a position coach at UCLA. Bleeds blue. So the players are behind him. They demanded him. as the guy they wanted as coach, or there probably would have been a mass exodus there in the transfer portal. So all that stuff's figured out, but now it's really kind of Ethan Garber's it's time to shine. The unfortunate thing is he should have kind of had that last year and been coming in on year 2 with some sort of momentum, but Chip Kelly wanted to mess around last year. He was doing like 3 games starting Dante Moore as a true freshman. He was playing the Kent State transfer, Colin Schlee, who's now at Virginia Tech. Ethan Garber started the first game, starts the bowl, comes in the second half of the bowl game and turns that game around. So there was just a lot of inconsistent play at the quarterback position. Obviously the year that LSU played him last time, DTR had been the guy for 3 or 4 years up to that point. It was his job. They were just messing around last year with the quarterback situation. So Ethan Garbers is the only one of those 3 that returns. Should be the starter, unless something crazy happens. But we still have to kind of see what he has. I mean, they're going to Hawaii, they're going to LSU, so he's going to have some tough games ahead. But that offense, it kind of just starts with him and what he's able to be. And he's had some good flashes, but at the same time, I don't know if they fully know what they have yet. And at the same time, when you're bringing in Eric Bieniemy, he's having to. Ethan Garbers has been there 3 or 4 years now, but now he's learning a new offense all of a sudden. So we'll kind of see what it is. It's going to be kind of slow going, I think, at first, and I think, but later on in the year they may pick things up.
Yeah, I may be in the minority. I love Eric Bieniemy. I know a lot of people don't necessarily give him the credit for some of the Chiefs' success. He goes to Washington last year. Ironically, I kind of look at, even with the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, I kind of look at that and say, if you look at how they did it, that should give you a little, Bieniemy's presence, was missed, definitely.
It wasn't as it didn't come across as dominant as when he was there, right? Correct, that's kind of the vibe I kind of got. Yeah. They were kind of winning on talent alone there.
Yeah, I honestly felt like up until the Super Bowl, they won strictly by defense. But I'm not going to argue that one. I know some people will come back and debate me on that one. But what are you hearing about, I guess, his adaption, I guess you could call it? They're going to the college ranks. I guess I know it's a different philosophy.
Maybe not so much a different philosophy. I mean, that was kind of the biggest things I was worried about. I'm like, okay, you're bringing this guy in from the NFL. He's up there coaching Super Bowls and whatnot. Now he's coming back to college. What is this going to be like? Sorry if you hear banging in the background. But yeah, he actually coached at UCLA many moons ago and was a recruiting coordinator there. So he kind of had the recruiting, bug already. He was kind of familiar with that. I've seen him out at a couple camps already. He's kind of hit the ground running pretty successfully from that standpoint. Their offense, from what they've kind of said, and I'm still trying to learn it and pick it up, just because I'm so used to what Chip was kind of doing. So it's new for me too, and I'm not in the huddle, so I'm trying to learn from afar. Sometimes I'm looking over the top of the parking structure, trying to make sense of this offense. But it's kind of a West Coast offense is what they're leaning on. They're kind of progressing well as an offense. They wanted to start slow, but they were happy with the progression that the guys were making. And a couple weeks into spring ball, they were pretty pleased with the way things were going, and we're actually moving a lot faster than they thought they were going to be able to. So they've been comfortable with it. Eric Bieniemy is passionate. I will tell you that. You can hear him a mile away chewing somebody out. But when he talks to the media, he comes across as a soft-spoken gentleman who knows what he wants, what he's looking for in his players, what he expects from his players. So I think overall, I think they got a good guy. The biggest thing for me is, especially for these recruits that are interested in Bieniemy and saying, hey, I want to go play for the guy who coached Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, is I don't know if he's going to be there in 2 or 3 years. Because whether he's a head coach at the college level and that's where he gets the start, right? Get that head coaching start, or if he's back in the NFL in some capacity. I don't know if they're just slapping a Band-Aid on it right now. That's what it's going to be to me until I see something beyond. 2 or 3 years. I think he has a 2-year contract. So after this year, they're not going to leave him hanging on a 1-year deal. So they're going to have to renew him. We'll get a better sense after this season of what to make of what his tenure is going to be there. But he's kind of hitting the ground running. The offense is going well. They're confident with him, and it's a labor of love. There's a lot of tough love going on right now. Starting running back, potential starting running back, TJ Harden hasn't looked great, just from a conditioning standpoint during spring. So there was some, and Eric Bieniemy was a running back. Deshaun Foster, the head coach, is a running back. So they're going to be on him. They have been on him. There's been several times where he's kicked the starting running back off to the sidelines and say, "Hey, get somebody else in here because he don't know what he's doing or he's not running at full speed." So he's not like playing favorites or anything. He's just coming in there, blind testing everything and just shooting from the hip. But they love him. They love him. They love the tough love. So as long as everyone can stay in sync with what they have going on in spring, I think they'll be in good shape.
Yeah. Talked about the offense. Tell me about the defense. How's the I don't know if you say new defense. I guess technically,
It's so you do lose the defensive coordinator, Deanton Lynn, who's the son of Anthony Lynn, who was the head coach of the Chargers. I believe he's with the 49ers now. They're still running a 4-3 with Akaika Malloy, who's the defensive coordinator. He was Akaika Malloy was the defensive line coach, and the defensive line was the premium positions there on that defense last year with Liatu Latu, who was the first defensive player drafted in this past draft. You had the Murphy twins who were wrecking havoc as well on that defensive line. So everyone's bought in from that standpoint with Akaika and what he's been able to do. I don't think they're going to change the offense that much because they're going to have their biggest return there on defense. A lot of familiar faces are returning. So I don't think you want to change a whole lot up there, especially when you're changing a whole bunch as it is on that offense. But it should be just full cylinders. They're strong at linebacker. Kane Madrano is a guy to watch out for. Femi Oladipo is another guy who transferred in from Cal last year, had a pretty solid first year. I expect him to step up. The biggest thing now is he may have to play movement from inside linebacker to edge because when you lose Liatu Latu, you lose the Murphy twins. You lost for all the guys in the secondary and the linebackers that you're bringing back and you're having that experience. You lost so much, and it's hard to replace the guy who was taken 13th overall in the draft. And prior to what they were able to do in the transfer portal, which I'm still kind of questionable about, they didn't have any guys that played in a UCLA jersey with any sort of game experience on the edge, right? So it was just like, what are we gonna do here? So that's the biggest question mark, without a doubt, is what are they going to do there? The secondary was a little bit shaky last year, but made some strides compared to what that secondary has looked like in the past. They do have some returners there, so I would expect them to take another step forward, ideally. The biggest weakness for them, it didn't show as much last year, just because you had the pressure that Liatu Latu and the Murphy twins are putting up front and kind of with that pass rush was in prior years, they were giving up the deep play. They're giving up the deep ball. They were losing left and right to those big explosive plays. So if they can avoid that, I think this defense will be in good shape. Again, defensive line is the biggest question. Moving over to the offense, I talked about Ethan Garbers. I think if they have him locked in and have him as a full go, they should be set there. TJ Harden, I think despite what I said earlier about him not being in shape and the wheels kind of moving slow there, I think he'll be a full go, and I think they'll get the best out of him when they need to. The offensive line had been fairly questionable as well last year, and that might have been part of the quarterback struggles too last year. They did lose a lot of talent the previous year, so that would be 2 years ago now on that offensive line that went to the NFL. So it's kind of a patch job. It's been a patch job. They did get some guys in the transfer portal, and most of those guys weren't even there for spring. So that you got some late arrivals coming in. So it's still up in the air what that offensive line is going to look like. But if they can get the offensive line going and moving the way they expect and would hope for them to be, I think this offense has a good chance. They did get Juan Castillo as their offensive line coach. They bring him in. He was with the Commanders with Eric Bieniemy, so they did have that connection there and do have that chemistry there. So Juan Castillo is going to know what to expect from Bieniemy in the offense, having worked together. The strength of the offense would definitely be the receiver room. J. Michael Sturdivant has the potential to be an NFL draft prospect here in the upcoming year. Definitely a name to look out for. Was a guy who didn't get as many touches just because, again, the quarterback situation was such a mess.
Right.
But then he's also the number one receiver there. So clearly he was getting the double teams. The strength was being put there on him. And you did have other guys who did step up there who are returning. Logan Loya is a guy who's going to come back for, I believe, a super senior season at this point. A guy to also look out for on the other side of J. Michael Sturdivant is Rico Flores, a receiver who transferred in from Notre Dame last year, spent just his freshman year there, decided to come to UCLA. We'll see how things look for him, but he's been looking promising. And then they have another short slot receiver is on the shorter end. Titus, I'm not even going to try and say the double last name because I'm going to butcher it. But he was a guy who had been with the team for 2 or 3 years now, for whatever reason, still undisclosed as to what the reasoning was, but did not play all of last year, but should be back and has looked great. And I think they're going to have to try and find a way to get a lot of these receivers on the field. I think it's a good problem to have, but again, it's all going to lean on what Garber is able to do as far as getting those guys the ball.
Coaching changes aren't the only change that you guys are going through. Changing conferences. You're going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, forgot about that.
Tell me I guess because we did talk with Cooper Perkins of BLEAV in USC,
Okay.
and he kind of told how kind of USC kind of feels about it. What about UCLA? How do you guys feel about the move?
So how they feel about it is, I think UCLA fans, they might get mad at me about this. I think they're trying to avoid being called the little brother in the situation. Obviously, USC is the shiny kind of project there, and I think the word is USC didn't want to go with Oregon or Washington. So the word is that they dragged UCLA along. UCLA is not saying that. They're saying, no, we wanted to be there. We want to be competitive, yada, yada, yada. They're saying all the right things. We're never going to get the truth on that, on what actually happened there. But they're in good spirits about it. We'll see after they take their lumps here early on. Again, I think the biggest thing for me is when they were switching conferences. You mentioned it earlier. Chip Kelly was on the hot seat. It seemed like every year he was on the hot seat.
Yeah.
But when you heard they were switching conferences, it just made me think, they're not going to make a coaching change, because the last thing you want to do is have a coaching change on top of a conference change. And they did this stalemate for the longest time, and then Chip finally took the Ohio State offensive coordinator job, so they made him pay the buyout instead of UCLA having to give him money. So Chip finally steps aside. Deshaun Foster comes in. It was about as good as a job, as I mentioned, with trying to keep the guys there and keep that roster going. So I don't think they take a step back and just starting from scratch with the roster and their talent. But I'm worried about the travel. I think I was looking at the schedule. I don't have it up in front of me. I think they play back-to-back on the road Big Ten games. I think Wisconsin and Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up for you now.
If you pull it up, it might be like middle of the season, Wisconsin, Nebraska, something like that. If I have that right. But outside of that, it's actually
Rutgers and Nebraska.
Rutgers, which is the other side of the country.
Yes.
So just take that for what it is. I mean, I've only been on a plane a good number of times, and I've gone from California to Florida, and I've been tired just from that. So
trust me.
The thing for me is, I think they're usually leaving on Friday, showing up Friday evening, being ready to play Saturday, usually in the evening, because they're that West Coast team. They get on the West Coast time slots. But now you might get a Rutgers morning game at Rutgers or something. But
yeah,
I mean, you gotta leave on a Thursday evening or something. You need to get a night there. You need to use that Friday. You do maybe a light walkthrough, but you need to let those guys rest and get acclimated. To however you're going to do it. You know, they're saying all the right things. They're going to put money into having the mental health aspect covered that goes with it, having the academics covered. I don't know if that means having tutors on the plane.
Right.
There was some talk on whether they were going to do some sort of satellite camp or remote, sort of like it's having this location in the Midwest, maybe where they're practicing there out of the week. There's been some talk. There's been some talk about that. I mean, heck, it would make sense. I wouldn't be a fan because I don't know if I'm watching practice that week, but you know, I think in general they need to look out what's best for the players. I think the players, without a doubt, would have said yes, they would want to be in the Big Ten. I think it's actually in terms of recruiting, aside from having guys like Bieniemy and Deshaun Foster there to lead the recruiting efforts there. I think the Big Ten factor is a draw, right? Before, a lot of people knock Chip Kelly for his lack of recruiting and kind of always going for that low-hanging three-star kind of fruit there. But now with this the Big Ten money, but also just being able to play against Ohio State in the future, playing against Michigan and whatnot, you're getting kids from those areas now. I think they got a kid from the transfer portal, or they offered a kid from like New York. They weren't doing that 3 or 4 years ago. They weren't going any further than Arizona to recruit a kid last year. So those are some of the differences that we're seeing right away, right? I think we really aren't going to know until we find out what exactly the travel is going to look like for them and how they're feeling coming back from that. I think they do. I keep saying this, but now that I'm hearing the national media folks saying that UCLA has one of the tougher schedules, now that they've kind of evaluated everyone's schedule and put it into perspective, even though they don't play Ohio State or Michigan, they still do have Penn State. They still do play Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. They still play USC. They do have LSU, which I circle as, normally the previous non-conference games had been like Bowling Green, Hawaii, and Utah, or in Fresno State. So now you're playing LSU at LSU, and then you're going to go to Penn State later. I think if you still have the schedule up, you could read it off there. There's
I do got
3 games.
Point of clarity. The back-to-back road games, there is a bye week in between there. So
there is a bye. Okay.
They do have the bye week.
Which works in their favor.
Correct
for them. But do you have that there? It's a tough shot. I think it's LSU, Oregon,
Penn
and then
State.
I think and then it's Penn State. Like it's not good. I mean, the one thing you can point to is that last month of the season and say, well, they don't really go out of the West Coast much. But hell, what's the team gonna look like by then?
Yeah, because you play Iowa at home, then you go to Washington.
Yeah, I forgot you're playing Iowa too. That defense carve somebody up.
Yeah, you've got USC, of course, in the Rose Bowl, and then you get Fresno State at home as well. So,
which is a trap game there at the end. Yeah, that's a trap game there at the end in its own right. So it's gonna be tough. A lot of people are asking for predictions. I'm not, I'm thinking like 5 wins, 6 wins. Deshaun Foster saying he's 8 wins or it's a disappointment, and I'm like, hold on, player.
Yeah, and see, that's on my next question. What does success in year 1 look like, in your opinion, for UCLA?
So I kind of look at this. This is still kind of a year 0. I mean, you're getting it's the biggest thing. It's not only do they have a coaching change, let alone the conference change, but as I mentioned, Chip Kelly and UCLA dragged each other out so long. They waited until after the hiring cycle.
Yes.
And we're in the middle of January, before maybe closer to February by the time he was actually gone. And they literally, the athletic director, Martin Jarman, told the athletes, hey, give me 72 hours to try and find a coach. What coaching search do you know has ever been 72 hours? That's kind of crazy. So everything was kind of rushed. So they're recruiting. Deshaun Foster already has 10 kids committed to the program for 2025. Chip Kelly signed 10 people for the 2024 recruiting class. So they're already ahead of schedule on a lot of that stuff. Imagine what they would do if they had a actual full off season, a full year. So the way I look at it, it's just kind of a year zero take it for what it is. Now, again, as I mentioned, Deshaun Foster's not playing that game, and I think that's the pride in him and a guy who's an alumni for that university, for that football program. He has an 8-win mark, or it's a disappointment. He said that publicly. That's not me putting words in his mouth. That's what he said. Or it's 8 wins, or it's a disappointment. He said we have to at least match what we did last year, or it's a disappointment. And I'm like, I mean, yes, but you are playing LSU, you are playing Penn State, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna knock them for the belief and the, I played football, I get it, but 6 wins max. I think fringe bowl team. They're either in or they're out,
Mhm.
right? I think they're fighting to get into a bowl game. Is where I look at them right now. Well, maybe because they shocked the world. Not saying they're going to win the national championship, because they shocked the world and maybe be a little bit more competitive than I would expect them to be. Sure, but with new head coach, new offensive coordinator, a change at defensive coordinator, even though you're familiar with that guy, a new conference, it's just a lot of change. It has to be a year zero. With all that change, it has to be year zero.
Yeah. I think what's so unique about this, especially the change in conference, it's not like you went from the WAC to the Pac to some Pac 12.
Right.
You
Right.
literally are all the way across the country.
Mhm.
It's yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, LSU is one of those teams, obviously, who's probably pretty comfortable with where they're at. I'm not expecting them to change conferences anytime soon, but I mean, that's how it's going to be for everyone. Everyone's going to be traveling across the country to play somebody. I don't know how much longer before like teams like the SEC. I keep hearing the national media on these football radio shows saying you can't rule out the possibility of someone like the SEC cutting out the fat and getting rid of some of those bottom tier teams. If you want to have these elite conferences, right, you may have to cut the fat on some of that, but who
I don't
knows?
see
But you
that.
start doing that,
Yeah.
it can get messy. College football, hey, I just take it one day at a time, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just one day at a time.
The first school everyone mentions is Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has the hidden advantage of like being, I think, a R1 research school, the academic side of things,
Right.
and being, I think, a private school that has its advantage.
Oh, they have that going for them.
Yeah, so that's why I think the SEC will look at it and be like, you know what, we'll tolerate it. And, I mean, and they're not bad baseball wise either. They do contribute.
That's true. Yeah.
So
That's kind of the thing with UCLA. Real quick, is they're an academic school, but they have that knock on them that they're a public school, which they take a lot of pride in, being the number one most applied to public school in the nation, yada yada yada. But I mean, yeah, USC is doing whatever they want because they're a private school.
yeah.
Some of these other schools, they're private schools, so they can do whatever they want. UCLA is kind of having to try and play things by the book, and that's why they're kind of 2 steps behind on everything, it seems like. But with the NIL seems to be picking up for them a little bit. Things are starting to even out. I think a lot of people were waiting for Chip to be gone before they start getting reinvested in the program, and I think it's starting to show a little bit. So it's turning around. It might be a slow turnaround, but UCLA is off in the right direction with Deshaun Foster at the helm.
Yeah. Our good man Andrew Paul's Hub Martin brings up a good point. He said there's a possibility the LSU UCLA game winds up as a 2:30 game. Knowing September in Louisiana, that game can feel like 100 degrees. And I don't know if you've been to the South, but
not a lot.
100 degrees humidity versus 100 degrees dry heat is completely different.
Y'all got it. No, so like that was kind of the deal with them playing Hawaii at the Rose Bowl at 2 p.m. It was like a noon kickoff or whatever, close to noon, and no one's showing up to the Rose Bowl because the sun's beating down on them. And Cali folks, if they're going to stay in the sun, they're going to the beach. They're not going to the Rose Bowl. So that was kind of the big knock on them, right? But I think the team will be up for it. Will it factor in? No doubt about it. The humidity, 100 degrees, you're traveling all the way to Louisiana. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a factor. I mean, that's that home field advantage right there in some regard for LSU.
I honestly feel it'll be a disservice if the UCLA LSU game is not a night game in Tiger Stadium. I
That
feel
would
it
be
would be
great.
I feel like it'll be a complete disservice to people watching it at home, the
Mhm,
players. That's just an experience that everyone should have, I believe.
mhm.
Um, I get so. We talked about expectations. Talked about schedule.
I have a I have a question for you.
Gotcha.
How about that? Um, what is the expectation for this game from LSU's perspective when playing against UCLA? Obviously, they want to get their win back there, but
Yeah.
is it? I mean, is this a make or break for them? Is it the end of the world if they lose again? Like, what is the vibe of this game?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think a lot of LSU fans, outside of hey, we want to win this game, get the get back. I don't think a lot of
Hmm.
LSU fans have really thought about it a lot past that point, just
Right.
simply because there's so much question around the defense.
For LSU.
For LSU, trying to
Okay.
revamp that whole defensive staff, not necessarily knowing if the personnel is going to be up for it, because I personally I've been disappointed in how LSU responded with the transfer portal. With recruiting and the transfer portal to address
Hmm.
certain needs, on offense and defense, mainly on defense. Um, I know a lot of people are kind of let's see what we look like against USC, and then we'll
Hmm. Yeah, you
proceed
have
from there.
USC too, right?
Yeah, because we
That's
got
in
USC
Vegas, right?
first. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I think a lot of fans expect they win. They're counting and say, "Hey, we should win that game,"
Yeah.
but nobody's really talked about it, saying, hey, expecting this, and this.
Hmm.
That's simply because, like I said, you guys have questions. LSU fans have a lot of questions around that defense. And I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not trying to say the offense is perfect. We lost a Heisman winning quarterback, lost two top,
Yeah.
first round running, I'm saying wide receivers. The running back room is thin. Um, the offensive line is by far the best unit that we have on the team.
Right.
So it's just simply a question of, does it all come together? Do we have time to get there? Or shall I say, do we have enough talent to get us by until we get to that point we need to be
All right.
to sustain? So yeah, it's I think the biggest thing, we're not playing you guys week one. We've got
Mhm.
3 games before then, or 2 games.
Right.
Yeah, 3 games before then. So it's gonna be interesting.
I mean, and USC's a hot mess too. Who are we kidding? USC's a hot mess too. So I don't even know who the favorite is in that game. It's still early,
Yeah.
obviously, but I mean, they got a new quarterback going on as well. But speaking of
Mhm.
quarterbacks, just kind of curious, what was your thoughts on not only what Jaden Daniels was able to do there, but
Mhm.
what were you expecting from him when you find out he's going to transfer from ASU and he's coming over to LSU? I covered him in high school. He's from
Right.
the area I live in,
Right.
so familiar with him quite a bit. But just kind of curious because I mean he's a skinny old little thing, especially when he was in high school.
Right.
And you see him getting banged around by those Alabama players. So
Yeah.
what was the thought on Jane Daniels when he first came in
When
and on his exit?
it's funny because hearing when Jaden was first coming in, the knock was he can't throw the intermediate ball. That was
Mhm.
that was the knock coming into when he was coming to LSU. Goes through spring. People still saying it. Season starts and people are complaining he won't throw anything deep. So
Right.
um um some people complain that he's just a running back that's at the quarterback position.
Mhm.
But I mean, let's be honest, Jaden saved LSU on several occasions. The Florida State game, his first game,
Yeah.
if not for a botched extra point, he's a hero instantly week one.
Mhm.
Um,
From the jump. Yep.
yeah, 99-yard drive.
Mhm.
Jaden grew on a lot of people. I mean, personally, from jump, I like what I saw out of him.
Mhm.
He reminded me of. I know it's crazy to say this. He reminded me kind of Joe Burrow in the fact of the way
Okay.
he saw the field, not
Mhm.
necessarily in play. I didn't necessarily think, oh, he's a Heisman Trophy winner,
Sure.
year one. But the way he saw the field, the way he was able to adjust, coming in, not necessarily knowing your wide receivers that well,
Mhm.
but you can see them growing together and gaining that trust. And I loved what I saw out of him. His story arc is like something
Yeah.
Marvel wrote up.
Mhm.
So it was phenomenal. Great. I met his mother as a matter of fact at the Alabama
Mhm.
game in
Okay.
2022. Great,
Mhm.
personality.
Yep.
Just it's just I loved everything about the kid, and I think he's going to do well in the NFL. Matter of fact, I've got a couple bookmarks of where some people have said some things, and I can't wait till he gets that
To
rookie of the
circle
year or
back on
whatever.
those.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to it, man.
Mhm.
Seeing what he does. But yeah, before we get ready to get out of here, man,
Okay.
I have one question I've been asking everybody that we brought on.
All right.
What new feature or what feature are you looking forward to in the new NCAA
Uh,
game?
I'm glad you asked that. Actually, I'm just excited for the damn game to be back. I was in some video meetings for the newspaper,
Mm,
and they're like, oh, this video game. I'm like, no, 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 this is a big deal. Like
yes.
I haven't played this game since high school. I said, this is a miracle that the game's even coming back out. So I already bought my PS5. I'm ready. I'm
Mm,
playing Spider-Man games until this game comes out. I already got the game pre-ordered. But for me, I was playing the Road to Glory and stuff like that.
right.
I wasn't ready to step online because I knew I was just gonna get taken to the woodshed.
Yeah.
Um, but near the end of it there, I would mess around and I got into an online dynasty mode. But I was younger
Mhm.
back then. I probably didn't have a good idea of what was going on. But now that I've covered football and have a better idea of just the ins and outs of it, that's what I want to do. I kind of trying to thinking about starting an online dynasty, but I don't know if I want to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is the thing, but I think it's the online dynasties is what I'm most excited about. Um, but just for me too, as a reporter, I would say the biggest thing is being able to play as other teams. Like during LSU week, I would probably spend some time playing as LSU to get familiar with the guys on that roster, right?
Right.
Because other than that, I'm not really. I don't know. I only knew who Jaden Daniels was because I knew him from high school. Other than that, I heard about Derek Stingley Jr. when they played UCLA, so was familiar with him a little bit. But I think that's the biggest thing for me is just getting familiar now that we got names on the rosters in the game
Oh
and not just
yeah.
jersey numbers. um, I think that's significant. But for me, it's probably online dynasty. Online dynasty. I was a little bummed out that you can't transfer from your Road to Glory to Madden like you were back in the day. That was a little
Yes.
bit of that was a little bit of a bummer. But I don't know. What about you? What are you most excited about?
So I'm glad you said that because I remember I would take 2 days and I
Hmm.
would actually go through and input everybody's names.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I knew like, and I would go conference by conference, and then people
Okay.
started doing the lockers where they would upload it and you just pull it
Yes.
from them.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's what I did. Yeah.
yeah, so but it's funny because you're trying, you don't have a keyboard, so you're back
Hmm.
and forth on the PlayStation, and
Oh man.
it's not in QWERTY, so you've got
Yeah.
to go all the way around.
Right. It was a chore for sure. I'd
Yeah.
imagine.
Um,
You're better than me. I couldn't do it. I have
I
ADHD, so it would have taken me a week.
listen, it was I would just jump around and I learned like you, that's how I learned. I would learn LSU's roster that way,
Yeah.
Then I would go and play. I would get play and get so familiar with the teams. I started playing like I would get Southern Miss and play against, my cousins, they pick Miami or some
Mhm.
other team, and I'm
Right.
beating them, and stuff. And I'm like, hey, this kid's gonna be a baller, this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that because ironically, we were talking about the other day. You know how you have a team that's not necessarily they're a favorite team, but they're not your
Right.
team.
Mhm.
EA Sports, this game, I was a huge Boise State fan.
Mhm. Okay.
Huge Boise State
Okay.
back in like, and this was before the Oklahoma upset. So
Mhm.
like Jared Zabransky and those guys.
Right. Right.
I was a huge fan, and it was simply because of the game. Playing with
Mhm.
them and inputting those names, the blue field and stuff. So
Right. No, that's a good point. So when I was doing Road to Glory back then, and another bummer is they're not doing the little high school series before.
right.
But when I did that, and then you get all these little offers coming in, you feel good about yourself. I was going. I picked Cincinnati once. Now, obviously, this is before their run they had recently with Sauce Gardner and all them. And then one time I messed around, and I was running with Temple.
Mm.
So I mean,
I
I wasn't picking who else. I'm not. No one's picking Temple on purpose unless you're from Temple.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I actually one of my when I because I did I went to the army later in life.
okay,
Um and during like is after basic training you do AIT. So you have a little bit more free time, not as much.
right.
But I was able to play, I had my PlayStation and I was playing.
Mm.
I ended up playing with Ball State.
Okay.
And I was a 3-time national champion with Ball State.
Messing around with Ball State.
And I messed around and lost the game. And I was like, you're not ruining my perfect record. I
Mhm.
restarted it. So
Like,
I was like, nope,
I feel, hey, I
I'm
feel
getting that
that.
4-peat.
You know what? Like, it got kind of boring because, and I'm such a sucker. I was playing on easy mode, so it was kind of easy. Like, I wasn't trying to challenge myself. Um, but no, I had such a good time on that game. I'm looking forward to it. I think part of me like wants to play with like UCLA is not my favorite team. I grew up in a USC family, but since I became a reporter, I don't really claim teams anymore. But
Understandable.
I think I would play with UCLA, but at the same time, I don't know because I kind of like the idea, like you're saying, like I'm picking Temple, I'm picking Cincinnati, and they're not sniffing the top 25 no matter what you do. You could you could be the star running back and you can run for 2,000 yards. You're not getting into the Heisman race until like the third to last week of the season or whatever.
Right, right.
You got to go above and beyond to overcompensate. Um, so that was always kind of a little bit of the challenge there was even though you're winning games, you weren't getting your respect, right? And it wasn't until about the second or third year where they start giving you some slack and at least making you a top 15 team and working your way into it. But it was fun. I had fun with it. I think obviously as video games have advanced and just the culture of it, right? Everything's is so online based now. I think I'm willing to dive into it a little bit more than I have. But I think me and you, we definitely got to get a game.
Yeah, we definitely will. Definitely will. I'll probably so uh I've got the privilege. I get to play with my son.
Okay.
He's going to Houston this year.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to it. I've been talking a little trash and
So was he probably wasn't even in the age range to even play it last time, right?
no.
Yeah, so this is was he playing Madden and all that still?
He plays Madden
Okay,
now.
okay.
But
But just the
I mean,
college football of it, the college football
mm-mm.
part of it,
I've,
that's
I've
different.
yeah, I've got an 8-year-old who didn't even know they even had a college game back in the day.
I know.
So
That's how I know I'm getting old. I'm like, what do you mean y'all don't know?
yeah, so I'm definitely I
Mhm.
dang Ed O'Bannon. No.
Yeah,
But
a
no,
UCLA guy, yeah.
yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to it. But man, listen, I definitely appreciate you coming
Mhm.
on. We always give our guests a chance to oh, where's my mouse? Okay, tell the people where they can find you and everything you want them to know.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JHW Reporter. I'm also on Instagram at JHW Reporter as well. And you can find all my work at ocregister.com or dailynews.com, where we're talking all things UCLA, USC, and just national college football in general. I am a top 25 voter. So if you want to heckle me throughout the season, feel free. The Kansas State fans are already on me from last year because they loved me 2 weeks into the season, then they hated me 2 weeks after that. So it's a good time.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm trying to do this. Like I said, we're usually a 2-man operation. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Williams, we have to bring you back in, during the season, man, and chop it up, man.
Let's do it during game week. I'm down.
All right, sounds good. Everybody, Mr. James Williams, again, thank you for coming through.
Thanks, my man. Appreciate it.
All right. Sorry about that. Y'all know it's how hard it is when Ant's not in. Definitely enjoyed that, man. Learned a lot, hearing a lot about UCLA. Looking forward to that game, man. What are y'all's thoughts, man? I might have to open up the phone lines. See what y'all think about everything. We got a few more things to talk about before we officially get up out of here, but let's get it. Trying to get the phone lines ready. All right. Oh man, that's funny. Danny said, and it's faking. He's mourning over his aces. Nah, he hurting. He was hurt, Danny. It was bad when he called me. I was like, I knew then. So keep keeping us up to date. Said Angel Reese got 20 and 10. That's what's up. I forgot to ask. I was gonna ask him what James what he thought about the Lakers search, coaching search, but anyway, phone number 225-308-1234. Let's talk a little briefly. Talk about hockey real quick. The Florida Panthers, they up 2-0 in that one. I think that series is pretty much over. Found out something interesting. Canadians. No Canada team has won the NHL Stanley Cup in 30 years. Go figure. I would not have expected that. But yeah. Yep. So Florida Panthers up 2-0. I don't know when they play again. I think they might play again tomorrow. Next up, it's a big boxing match this weekend. Tank Davis takes on Frank Martin. Frank Martin is hold on, let me pull up. I meant to pull up his stats. I say his stats, his record. Let's look at his. He's 18-0 with 12 knockouts. Said he's fought about 94 rounds, 66% knockout rate, southpaw stance, 5'8", 6'8" reach. So yeah, it comes in. This is a highly anticipated fight. I got Tank in this one by knockout. I don't know if anybody got anything different. Yeah. No, Key. I think that starts tomorrow, possibly. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it started today or not. I hadn't heard anything about it. Let's see what else we got. All right. Let's see. Joey Chestnut. Joey Chestnut is out of the hot dog eating competition this year. As a matter of fact, he's not just out; he's banned. Joey Chestnut is now is being sponsored by a vegan hot dog company that is a competitor to Nathan's Hot Dog, and they are out. So they have Nathan's Hot Dog, who does the hot dog eating competition, has banned Joey Chestnut from the hot dog eating competition. So very interesting, very interesting. What's up, man?
Nothing.
You good?
Yeah. Can I play for?
You want to say something?
I want to substitute for Ant.
For substitute for Ant. Oh, what you gonna say? Come on.
Nothing. I was just going to
You
join.
just want to join and sit here?
Yeah.
Okay, you about an hour late, man. I could have used you earlier.
No.
Substituting for Ant. So we were just talking. I was just talking to a guy from UCLA. We talked about the last question I asked him was about the NCAA college football game that's coming out. Asked him what was his favorite feature and stuff like that for the game. And I told him, I was excited about it because Jay Sean's going to be in the game and we'll get to play with Jay Sean. Now, quick question. You weren't even born the last time they made this game.
I've seen it.
You've seen it. You've seen it on YouTube and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Imperialisms.
And what?
Imperialism.
Imperialisms. Okay. What are your thoughts on the game?
Good.
Good. What are you looking forward to? Most looking forward to?
The stats.
Stats, building stats and stuff.
The franchise
or the dynasty mode.
Yeah.
Dynasty mode. Okay. What team you gonna play with?
Houston and LSU.
Okay. Okay, that's a good choice. What else you think of? You got any other sports news? I know you keep up with sports. Boston. Let's check the score on that. Boston Celtics and the NBA playoffs. Third quarter, Boston is up by 12, 79-67. Yeah, that one's, I think that one's, they're about to go 3-0 and they're going to end up sweeping that series. Any thoughts on the NBA playoffs, or you really hadn't paid attention? No, okay.
I don't watch NBA.
You don't watch NBA like that? Okay. Tonight, speaking of the Connecticut Sun in the WNBA, the Connecticut Sun beat the Chicago Sky 83-75. Angel Reese, though, had one of her best games. Had her best game of the season. She was 8 of 10 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. So yeah, she had a great game. Cardoza came in, almost had a double herself. She had 10 points and 9 rebounds. So yeah, where is Kennedy? Kennedy didn't do much. So, but yeah, that's they gotta get Kennedy a start as a starter. That's what they gotta do. They gotta make Kennedy a starter. So Key did answer, look it up, and God says College World Series starts on Friday. So looking forward to that. In the College World Series, baseball series, LSU is out, but you got 4 SEC teams and 4 ACC teams.
Huh?
In the College World Series, you got 4 SEC teams and 4 ACC teams that are competing. So it's a 50-50 chance that a SEC team or ACC team wins it all. So it's gonna be interesting. Who you want to win, SEC or ACC?
SEC.
All right. You got anything else? Oh yeah, you got a baseball card yourself, don't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put your stats up there. Dylan's got his baseball card from this baseball. It's hard to see with the it's blurry. Y'all can't see it, but he's got his baseball card. So anyway, man, if y'all got anything else before we get ready to get up out of here? If not, we'll be back on. Let me check the calendar to see who we got coming in on Sunday, if we have anybody on Sunday. Sunday, we don't have anybody right now. We may get we may get Ole Miss in. I'm not sure. I'll double check and let you guys know if we can get Ole Miss in or not Ole Miss. I'm sorry, Florida. We may get Florida in there. Stanford. Good call. Good call, Danny. Good call. Thank you. You know I don't be remembering stuff. Stanford game. Is it men and women both will be playing Stanford in the ACC SEC Challenge? I know the women will. I thought I saw the men as well. Did I read that right, or am I making that up? Somebody, I don't know if y'all help me out in the chat real quick. FSU for the men. Okay. All right. I thought I saw Stanford for the men too. All right. So December 5th, women will be playing Stanford. The men will be playing at Florida State. Oof. That's gonna be a little bit of a challenge itself as well. Yeah. Danny. I'm glad you said that, Danny. Let me make sure I mark that down so I can do that. You're back. All right, give me 1 second. I'm making a note. Got to reach out, try to get a guest on for Sunday that we're trying to do. Okay. You know the guy who's you always ask me about with the belt and at the softball games?
Him?
Yeah, they want got to reach out to see if we can get him on the show. Okay, talk to him. What else you got, man? Sports wise, you got anything else? You want to tell them how you got me killed in Fortnite? No.
I'm
Okay.
not sport wise.
It's an esport.
Well, we were in esport.
I mean, technically.
That will be in the
So let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a question. What are you most looking forward to in this upcoming football season? Whether it's yours or college.
Being QB.
Being QB? Okay. You gonna try to be QB this year? All right, put that down.
Ban him.
He said ban him. Oh, he asked how did you get me killed? You want to tell him how you got me killed? Ban? I'm not gonna ban him because he just want to know how you got me killed. I'm not gonna ban him. I'm not gonna tell him that I always tell you don't run off and leave me.
But then you just did.
I'm not telling him. I'm telling you. I'm not gonna tell him that you ran off. Stop, because that's loud.
I like it.
We'll take it in the living room.
Okay.
All right.
I'll take it.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, he ran off.
You just told him.
He ran off and let me get shot
I'm
at.
gonna leave.
Don't leave me. Don't leave me. All right. Being QB. What else? What else you looking forward to? What about playing? You playing safety again, or you? Okay.
LSU win championship.
LSU winning the championship. All right. What you think the record gonna be? Do they lose any games, or they go undefeated?
At least like they go. How many games are in it?
So it's 12 in a regular season, and I think it's 15 total.
15. So they'll go.
Or maybe 16. I don't know. But how many games you think,
They're gonna win about 10-2.
You think they go 10-2, make the playoffs and win it all?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
So
You got any two teams you think they'll lose to? Who?
Florida State.
Don't play Florida State this year.
Oh, who did? Oh wait, I
Want me to
forgot.
pull the schedule up
Yeah.
for you?
I forgot. I have the schedule, but I don't.
It's
have,
on your phone, ain't it?
Yeah, but I don't know where my phone is. Probably like.
Hold on here. This will make it a little bit easier for you.
I think they might
So
lose to. I know they're probably gonna lose to maybe Ole Miss
okay.
and I think they're gonna go 11.
11-1. You changed it to 11-1. You think Ole Miss is it?
Yeah.
Okay. That
Because
ain't
all these teams, especially Vanderbilt, is probably going to be a free win for Vanderbilt. I mean, for LSU.
You say Vanderbilt will be a free win. Okay. All
So,
right.
like that.
Yeah. So, he want to know what you got me for Father's Day.
I did.
A hug.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right. All right. You can go
I
now.
didn't know for the Father's. I never knew Father's Day.
Huh?
I didn't know.
It's coming up this Sunday. Father's Day is this Sunday. You gonna give me a Starbucks card that I gave you? I appreciate that.
It's free kids.
All right. Appreciate that. Love you.
Love you.
All right.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and get up out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, hanging out with us. Thank you to James for coming through. Hold on, let me get my theme music going. Where's my theme music? There you go. Thank James Williams from leaving UCLA for coming through, chopping it up with us tonight. Want to thank all y'all for tuning in, man. You didn't have to be here, but you did. You were, and we appreciate that. We'll be back on Sunday. Hopefully with that special guest that Danny want us to get. But like that, we out.
This show was presented by betonline.ag. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.